Good evening, guys. Welcome to FRL Racing League on the PlayStation 5. We're live at Watkins, Glen for tonight's PureSimGear Super Sprint Sunday. It's good to have you with us all live and watching on Catch Up. We've got two cracking races in store tonight, and as you'll see, the free practice is about to come to a close as the drivers are just finishing their final laps of preparation, making sure those tyre pressures are all up to scratch and getting themselves dialed in for qualifying. So we've got an absolute action-packed grid tonight. We've got 29 drivers, I believe, at the moment. There's potentially one more to sneak their way in at the last moment. And we have a mixture of pro and drivers on the grid tonight. There is, of course, the championship up for grabs, which I will bring you the standings in a short while, just to bring you up to speed as to who's fighting for what in the various pro and am competitions. But it must be said, we do have a lot of reserve drivers racing tonight, so it really is going to be quite a mixed bag of race pace and qualifying pace, I'd imagine. We also have the potential for a little bit of rain. It's extremely cloudy. I think it's around about 90% cloud cover. As you'll see, the track temperatures and the air temp is 13 degrees exactly, and there is a very small wind speed as well. So, I mean, the next half hour forecast is dry, but qualifying is on the Saturday, so the server could reset in 2 minutes' time, and it could be wet. So it'll be interesting to see what the weather does tonight. So good to have you with us. If you are watching live, please don't forget to drop a like on the video, and if you haven't already subscribed, please whack that subscribe button. And of course, we are sponsored by PureSimGear, so if you've got Christmas festivities and gifts ideas coming up, then please go check out their website. I believe they have got a discount promotion currently running, so go check out the guys at PureSimGear. So a couple of drivers, four to be exact, are just finishing their free practice laps, and then we'll be straight into qualifying, which is 20 minutes long, with the first 10 minutes for the pro drivers on the grid tonight, and the second 10 minutes will be for the AM drivers. So a split qualifying session as we are just resetting here now. So we've got a green flag on the qualifying. I believe that is Axel Racing. The car 137 is the first one out. He is sporting the FRL livery. Axel, a reserve driver tonight, but he was looking quite racy in free practice. I believe he had a P5, I believe, in free practice. So first driver out. He's certainly not hanging around. 10 minutes for the pro drivers to set their laps as we see a swarm of cars leaving the pit lanes. Hopefully the drivers have remembered it as a split qualifying session. Otherwise the stewards will be keeping a keen eye. So Watkins Glen, an absolute fantastic track to drive. I think it's certainly going to be quite hard to overtake. It's not the most easiest track to get overtakes done, but to actually drive it, it's like being on an absolute roller coaster. So it'll be really interesting to see what action we get tonight when it comes to overtaking. But if you've not driven it already, then load up the game and get on here for some practice, because it really is a cracking track to do some laps around. So Axel Racing 137 BMW is the first one over the line to start qualifying. And just while we watch Axel, I'm just loading up the championship standings for you guys, so just bear with me for one momento. Right, so championship standings. We certainly have a two-way battle, I would say, going into the penultimate, well, that's the final two rounds. We're at Watkins, Glen tonight, and then we have the season finale on December the 18th at Laguna Seca. So championship standings, tier 1, your pro class drivers is EOS Storico is the championship leader. He is your number 88 Audi, who we're just joining on board with now. He is actually the second driver out on the flying lap. He is your championship leader with 553 points, but 10 points behind him is Rob 2K, which is a 75 Bentley. He's also coming around to get his first provisional flying lap in. So that is your key battle in the pro class, guys. Storico and Rob, there's only a 10 points difference, so keep your eyes out for the 88 Audi and the 75 Bentley. And then just to mention third place is EOS Moss as well, in the 91 Audi. He is, however, 112 points behind, but he does have a bit of a battle to keep in that third podium spot with David Jr. in the 303 Ferrari. He is not far behind in P4. So we've got a two-way battle for P1 and a two-way battle for the final spot. And then when it comes to your AM class, so your championship leader in that is, I'm just actually checking on the grid tonight, he is your number 29 BMW Shadow Lancer. So he is your championship leader with 416 points. And then in second with 334, so quite a way back, you know, a good 80 points behind, is MPL. MPL is his 393 BMW. And then we have Frank in third with 322. So Frank and MPL is certainly quite close for second and third spot. But Shadow Lancer is certainly the bookie's favourite, shall we say, with an 80-point lead for the AM. In fact, he may have even tied up the championship if my mathematics is probably really poor, considering there's only 2 races left, but I'll leave that math up to the experts. So, as you'll see, guys, times are starting to come in. Storico, your championship leader, has gone straight to provisional pole with a 145.5. 2 tenths behind him is David, who is P4 in the championships, 2 tenths behind. And then we have quite a gap already. Second back, got Gagler drivers all within a second behind, or sorry, just outside of a second, shall I say, sorry, which includes Nico, Moss, as we just see Axel Racing place that BMW in provisional P3 with 46.3. And as we join Rob, who goes 5th, he'll be looking to get a little bit closer to Storico and certainly a little bit further up the grid than P5. So as I said, got a full grid tonight. We've got 28 drivers. We have just the pro qualifying to, with 4 minutes remaining on the pro qualifying. As Law sets, what is that? A low 46. So it must be said the track is still fast. It's not an optimum track yet, and it is dry, and there is a risk of weather. But for the moment, it is dry, it's cloudy, and it's cold. As BRC Canesa in the 55 BMW places its third. It's a competitive time, but it's what can Rob 2K do. He is fighting Storico for the championship. He's currently P7, and it's not where he would want to be in terms of the battle with Storico. He's got a time left for a couple more laps. as David sets a really quick time. How close that is, guys. Unbelievably close at the top there. He'll be looking to squeeze a tenth, less than a tenth out to take that pole position there, David, and that is ridiculously close. So we're just on board with Rob as he comes around towards Sector 3 now. He enters Sector 3. His last lap, I believe, was just an aborted lap. This is his go fast lap. So currently P9. Pressure is on him, I would say. But our championship leader in the pro class currently has provisional pole of 45.2. That is a ridiculously quick time. So final corner to go for Rob. Just a dab on that brakes, throw the car in. You want to kiss the barrier on the left. You don't want to touch it. You just want to be within a whisker of it. Maximise the exit, and he comes across the line. And Rob is only good enough for P7, but he does have time for one more flying lap. So pressure is certainly on the Bentley. Let's see who we've got coming across the line. We've got Law. He's currently P5. A very quick driver, had an absolute cracking race. For those of you who are quite close to the Taco Tuesday series, he really did have an absolute stormer of a race at Indy last week. He started back of the grid and came through to finish third. And it was a cracking drive. As David is, so David's in. So that's it for David. He's P2 at best. As Marty is coming across, shortly followed behind Kenesa. Marty moves up to 5th, and Kenesa, does he improve? He does! That is BRCG Kenesa has gone provisional pole with a 45.1. Look at that top 3, ladies and gentlemen. How close is that? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We do still have, I believe, a couple of pro drivers still to come through to finish their flying laps. More importantly, Rob's box as well. So Rob, who is fighting Storrico for the championship, can only do a provisional P9. He's going to have work to do in both races, given the qualifying order set for both races tonight. So that's Storrico done. He's P4. As Rapid Duck is also coming around. He's currently a second off pole position. So let's just try and pick up some of these drivers. We really do have a lot of cars very close together on this outlap. I hope some of these guys are going to be giving each of us some space. Daniel, nice to have us in the live stream. Apologies you couldn't get a spot tonight. As you can see, mate, there was an absolute packed grid. Lots of drivers wanting to race tonight. Hopefully you can get yourself a spot on the grid next time round, and certainly a full-time position next season. So, as you'll see on the driver tracker at the bottom right of the screen, lots of drivers in the last sector just giving themselves a little bit of space to start their flying laps. Traffic can be a problem around here, but lots of drivers all just backing off and trying to allow a couple of seconds, space. And what you don't want to do is come across a driver who has gone off up ahead on the road, and that also ruin your own lap. So we're currently on board with the number 16 Porsche, Liam Knott. So for those of you who may be wondering what action FRL have got going on over the Christmas period, there is a couple of one-off special Christmas events out there for sign up, I believe. So if you are interested in racing over Christmas, then just keep your eyes out for them and you can get your name down if you're wanting to race. But the new season for the majority of the championships will be starting in the new year, such as the Taco Tuesdays and obviously the Sprint Sundays, which I will be running as admin next season. So we've got a new calendar and will be a slightly revised format as well. So in this current season we have 2 races of 30 minutes each with the 1 qualifying session. That is going to be slightly tweaked for next year. So keep your eyes out for the sign-ups for those in the new year. Right, so Rui gone P6. That is certainly, he's got himself right amongst the pro level drivers there in the 911 McLaren. Should be a Porsche really, shouldn't it, with that car number, but we'll let him off driving the McLaren. Not Bone. Think I'm going to join and give this league stuff a shot soon. Definitely, mate. If you're looking for somewhere for competitive, clean racing, then FRL is definitely the place you want to be. It is certainly a lot better than public lobbies. That is without a doubt. I don't know if you are new to FRL. Apologies, I don't recognise your username. But if you are new, then get on the Discord. Say hello and check out the sign-ups. But yeah, 100%, mate. If you feel like you can be, it's not necessarily about pace. You know, we have drivers of all speeds, so don't feel like you can't join. If you're a second or so off the pace, you'll certainly find competitive racing and competitive drivers, no matter what level. Fast and clean, that's what we're looking for. Yeah, exactly that, mate. You know, don't get me wrong, you're always going to have the odd contact here and there, but that's racing, isn't it? You know, the main thing is you don't have the dive bombers at turn 1 who just want to wreck people's races for the fun of it. What you get in public lobbies, you don't get none of that. Yeah, it is so much better. And if you can find yourself a league and people to race with consistently on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, then yeah, that's just great. Makes it so much more worthwhile. As we see Morex, so the 2 McLarens in the AM class certainly throwing their names in the hat. P4 and P5 at the moment for Morex and Rui. Certainly some good pace from those 2 drivers, both in the McLarens. T-bones up for grills, exactly that. With a nice portion of chips and a nice dipping sauce, I reckon. Or prawns if you go surfing for a bit of lobster, who knows. As we see Frank in the 3-2-1 BMW go P4. So these AM drivers certainly are not living up to their class, are they? They're certainly going. They certainly are showing their pace tonight. And let's just have a quick look down towards the bottom of the grid. And it's always hard to, it's easy to focus on top of the grid, but let's just have a look down the bottom. So we do have a few drivers who've not yet set a time. But currently at the back is Jack Davison in the 30 Audi. Then we have Chris, FRL Chris Yavolton, 79 BMW in P23. As we see F1 Savitsky from Ukraine with P15. Savitsky, if you are listening post-race, it must be said, mate, the fact that you are racing from Ukraine and you battle constant power cuts and things like that, that is absolutely pure dedication. Hands up to you, mate. Hope you're all well, and the family as well. So let's just join on board with Shadow Lancer. He is your championship leader in the AM class, currently P14, currently fighting a little bit of traffic there. That's the 393 BMW. Who is that? That is MPL 93, who he's currently sharing the same bit of tarmac with. And just 40 seconds to go. In this qualifying session. Axel Racing, hope the top 12 get power cuts. Where are you? Blimey, you're P14. Wasn't you... now, for those of you watching who don't know Mark is Axel Racing. He was messaging me earlier today saying, oh, I've got really good pace round here. I'm feeling really good ahead of tonight. And look at him in P14. Mark, it's not over to the fat lady sings, my man, but you're going to have quite a battle on. You are certainly in the middle of it. I'm only pulling your leg, mate. There is some very quick drivers tonight. Is everyone there on wheels? I would say the majority are, not Bone. I know we do have a couple of drivers in the Taco series on a Tuesday night who are on controller, which is just insane. But I would say the majority are on wheels, yes. Not everyone's on like a pro setup. You know, I currently race on a Thrustmaster T150 on my couch in the living room, so I don't have no fancy setup. But there is some drivers in FRL who have the full kind of rigs and direct drive wheels, etc., load cell pedals, all that jazz. But assist, we have no rules on assist, so if you want to run racing line, you can do. If you're on controller, you can do. There is no, you know, rules about that. It's just about having competitive racing, being respectful to other people, etc., both on Discord and on track. So, and the main thing, which I forgot to mention, it was having fun. You know, it's all about, at the end of the day, we all have stressful jobs and family lives, etc. So it's about finishing work, finishing your day, and jumping on out, having some fun. That's the main thing. So that is qualifying wrapped up. Let's just jump back to the timetables and get you a proper rundown of the order, as we've got a lot to go through. So bear with me. This will probably take me 40 minutes, given it's a full grid. So pole position is BRC G Canatha, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in the M4 GT3 55 BMW with a 1:45.1. That is an absolute rapid time. But just check the delta there, guys. Storico in P2, David in P3, under a tenth. The top three covered by less than a tenth. You can throw a blanket over that. Unbelievable pace. Frank P4, Rui P5, Morex P6, Law P7, Moss P8, Marty P9, and Savitsky in P10. That's a cracking time from Savitsky to get himself into top 10. So top 11, all covered by, all within a second. We then have Shadow Lancer, who is your championship leader. Rapid Duck in P12, Nico P13, Rob, who is, blimey, I've only just realised Rob's gone down to P14. So Rob, who is fighting Storico for the championship, finds himself with quite a battle on his hands. If you are listening, Rob, or watching this back, I hope you have some cracking races, mate, because one, will be good for the cameras and those watching, but two, for the sake of your championship. So Rob in P14, Axel Racing in P15, Liam Knott 16th, Ollie Mack 17th, Jay Brooker 18th, Handlenez 19th, and Darren Mark, who is a fellow FRL commentator. He commentates Tier 2 on Taco Tuesdays, is P20. We have Eye for an Eye in 21st, shall I say. D. Gabry 22nd, Buddy Lee 23rd, N-Specs 24th, MPL 25th. And then we have FRL's very own head PlayStation admin FRL, Chris Uvolton, in 26th. Trust me, guys, his admin skills are certainly better than his lap times, as he's showing here. He's going to hate me for saying that. Jack Davison, 27th. And then we've got two drivers who haven't set a time and are therefore starting from the pit lane / back of the grid. Romaria and Ams. Ams is one to watch for. He's a rapid driver. So he's going for the overtake challenge tonight, I reckon, starting from the back of the grid. So we'll keep an eye on the number 15 Audi. So 3 Audis bringing the rear of the grid. And more importantly, looking at the manufacturers in the, well, obviously BMW is probably more the popular manufacturer here tonight, but we've got BMW, Audi and Ferrari as your front three. A couple of McLarens thrown in there for a good mix, and then there's an Audi as well, Moss with the lead Audi, and then David the lead Ferrari. So yeah, interesting mix of manufacturer cars. So 2 minutes, 50-second warning, guys. Get yourself a coffee, tea, Prosecco, beer, wine, whatever your tipple of choice is. Get yourself buckled in. We've got 2.5 minutes to the first race tonight. And I'll be back with you in a short moment. I saw that, Axel. Okay, guys. Blimey, we've got quite a few of you watching live at the moment, so great to have you with us. Please drop a like on the video. It'd be very much appreciated. So, 15 seconds away from the start of race 1. As you'll see, track temperature has risen ever so slightly to 14 degrees. Air temperature is 14, track is 16. And key thing is at the moment it is still dry. However, that could change. 15 minutes forecast is cloudy but dry. It is a 30-minute race, so I do hope we get a bit of rain. I'm not going to lie, guys. A rain would be certainly spicing things up. So, Canasa, we'll go with Canasa. He'll correct me if I'm wrong, but Canasa leads them away. As the drivers start their formation lap, we'll be weaving the cars, getting the brake temperatures up, tyre temperatures up, as we have 29 cars all up and running. just where the cars are now, coming onto this back straight heading up to the bus stop chicane, this is probably where we're going to most likely have carnage unfold. It is the fastest part of the circuit, and this bus stop chicane is pretty much code brown on the opening few laps. If you go into here side by side, then you need to be making sure you're wearing your seatbelt, because accidents are really easy to happen here. But hopefully the drivers allow themselves a relevant space and do take it easy. Evening, Gulas. Apologies, sorry to see you're not with us tonight, but internet issues. Hopefully see you back on the track soon, my mate. So drivers are now getting into their Noah's Ark 2x2 formation, keeping to the set predefined speed limit, and they've got to stay below 50 kilometers an hour, I believe. And we're looking to make sure they're in the correct position. So, race 1 of FRL's Racing League PlayStation 5 PureSimGear Sunday at Watkins, Glen. We're about to go green.
Green light, go.
As we are green, away we go. As hand of Nez straight away, drive-through penalty for speeding on the start. Storico's got a lead on the outside, he goes into turn 1 in the lead. Canesa very conservative on the brakes, as we've got Frank moving up to P3, I believe. He's fighting David in the Ferrari. They go side by side. Looks like all the drivers have managed to get around turn 1 safely so far. But this is what I was saying on the formation lap. Coming up to the bus stop chicane, this is where carnage can unfold. And we've got drivers going 3 wide at some parts of the track. This is going to be absolutely mental. So here we go into the bus stop chicane. It is absolutely impossible for the commentator to try and keep up with who's who right now, so just bear with me while the driver tracker updates as we just fire right through lap 1. But I must say, it has been mighty impressive from pretty much all the drivers so far. It is some really good clean racing. As we've got a car going off, that's Jay Brooker in the Aston Martin. It looked like he was going for a McDonald's drive-through there. That's not where the track is. But it must be said that is some really clean driving from 29 drivers there. Not a single person has managed to bin it. Well, from what I could see anyway, everyone's got away cleanly. But more importantly, your pro class leader, Storico, has got away. Commentator's cursor, yeah, that is true. Storico's got away in P1. He's dispatched Canesa before turn 1 break his own. I think Canesa was extremely conservative on the brakes, but he's coming back at him. And towards the end of this lap, I'll stay on board with the top 3 just for the moment, and then we'll slowly and surely make our way down through the order and try and get all 29 drivers on live on air. But Canesa, he's certainly trying to make up for his rather conservative start and retake that first position. So David, Frank, Moretz, Rui, Moss, Law, Savitsky, who started P10 at one position, but a little bit wide. Rapid Duck, 10th, Marty, 11th. Axel Racing will be looking to take advantage of Marty, who went a little bit wide. So Axel is up by a couple of positions. He's all over the back of that sister BMW. Let's just stay on board with Mark to see if he can make a move into the bus stop chicane. He pulls to the inside. We've got Nico in the Audi following him. As they all go single file, probably thinking there's 27 minutes to go. I'm not just going to go category 1, send it up the inside just yet. So drivers are all coming through the bus stop. As we've got a MPL doing his best version of Tokyo Drift there in the BMW. As we do have Hand of Ness, who did save that drive-through, has gone straight to the back. But still, lap 2, and we've not had no racing incidents yet. Look, I don't want to sound surprised. I am surprised, given the fact that it is quite a tight track. So it just goes to show how everyone tonight is doing some proper, clean racing. So Storico is your race leader, as we've got car 166 off at the back of the grid. That is Jay Brooker again. He's having trouble in that Aston Martin. It seems to be that same corner. So lap 3. And Storico is your race leader still, but he is shortly followed just by 0.4 of a second by Kanesa. And then David in the 303 Ferrari is your purple setting fastest guy on track at the moment, but that can quickly change as drivers' tyre temperatures get dialed up and themselves as drivers get themselves dialed into the race pace. So now they'll be looking to settle down and try and build up race pace as we see the field spread is starting to elongate as well. But the top 10 is mighty close, as Rui is just slightly under pressure from Moss. It's all fairly pretty even, as we've got Nico in P13 trying to put that pressure onto Marty. Marty there having a look in the inside of Axel, deciding not to do it. Just took him behind for this final set to try and get a run on the start-finish straight. So back on board with Kanesa, who was your pole position sitter. And he's not exactly losing Storico, is he? Storico's trying to, he hasn't got DRS to think about. He hasn't got to, extend the gap to 1 second, but he'll be looking to pull away. But he's not dropping Kanesa yet. So half a second or just 0.6 separates them as they cross the start-finish line for lap 4. And then shortly followed behind Kanesa is David Jr. So top 3 is anyone's race at the moment. They are just starting ever so slightly to drop more X in P4. 1.5 seconds behind. As we just see the cars fly up this first part of the hill. As we've got Nico really is piling the pressure on now on Axel Racing. Axel goes to the inside. Nico to the out. Who's going to be the latest on the brakes? I think it was Axel who was quicker, and Nico gets the move done going into the bus stop. Axel potentially thinking he doesn't want to go side by side into there, so he was dabbed the brakes a little bit earlier. Nico in the Audi was looking the more racy as Axel goes wide. I think he's potentially had contact as well, as that front of that beam is looking a little bit scratched up. Let's just have a quickly jump on board with Rob. So Rob is in second in the championship. I think he started 16th. So he's only made himself up 1 place so far. He's certainly finding it hard to make his way through the field, given how competitive it is. Up the road from him is Liam Knott in the number 16 Porsche. quickly jump on board with Kanata, who's only 3 tenths behind. Coming into turn 1, is he going to make a move? He's a little bit too far back. Right, this is, I think we're going to get 22 minutes of these two battling it out as he goes purple, and he's got a better run up the hill. This is going to end up going side by side into the bus stop, I feel, if the commentator's prediction is right. So Storiko's just trying to move to the side to try and break that toe a little bit. Look, I think he's a little bit too far back this lap. But the bus stop is where you can really lose time or make up time compared to your other drivers. As we've got car 244 in the pits, which is Savitsky. Now, what has happened to Savitsky? He was up to P9 at one point, so that is unfortunate for him, as he was having a cracking race. I'm not sure what happened to Savitsky. As Law is certainly pushing that Audi around the corner. He's going to be extremely close coming onto the start-finish straight. In fact, is he ever going to have a look on the inside in this corner? That's going to be extremely risky if he does. He doesn't. He does the sensible move by tucking him behind. But can he get himself a run down the start-finish straight? He's practically pushing that 91 Audi around the final corner. So what is the straight line speed? Audi versus BMW. Is Law going to make a move up the inside? Is he a little bit too far back? I think he's a bit too far back unless he's got Daniel Ricciardo-esque braking, which he hasn't. As we see, Axel's really having to defend from Nico. In fact, that isn't Nico, is it? That is Shadow Lancer. Beg your pardon. So that is Shadow Lancer attacking Axel. Axel, I think he must be carrying some level of damage because I can see scratches on the front of that Beamer, and he is just seems to be falling back pace-wise as he's got the AM Championship leader at Shadow Lancer on his tail. We've got 2 cars off up ahead, just trying to find out who that is. We've got Rui, who's off in the 911 McLaren, and Frank. So we've got yellow flags out on the bus stop. Hopefully these guys can rejoin safely. I think they're going to let these rest of the field go through. I can only assume there was contact at probably the most dangerous part of the circuit. So it looks like they are trying to find reverse and trying to get it out of there. Well, Rui certainly is anyway. If he has found reverse, he's not found it correctly because he's just ran himself and he goes back to the pit lane. So that is unfortunate. I can only imagine there was an incident there. It is to be expected given the fact it is an extremely fast part of the track. So, lap 5, and as you can imagine, Stariko and Kanesa are like 2 hot Tinder dates. They are certainly matched for lap times, and they're matched for tarmac because they are not giving either of them a second breathing space. 3 tenths is the gap. As looking at the driver tracker, field really is starting to get spread out now, and there is trains forming. David trying to do his best to hang on to the front 2. P3, Morex P4, Moss P5. He's under pressure from Law again. These two are going to be having a ding-dong battle. Rapid Duck P7, Marty P8, Nico 9th. Axel's got himself up to 10th because of the 2 cars going up ahead of him. He's managed to keep Shadow Lancer behind him for now. Lee Knox P12, Roberts up to 13th, Ollie Mac 14th, I for an I 15th. Darren Mike's having a cracking race so far in P16, but he's got cars behind him, quite a lot of cars. As we've got MPL, we've got AMS, we've got Buddy Lee going side by side into the bus stop. AMS goes to the inside, MPL to the L, so they've all managed to keep it clean out there. AMS, he was the driver starting from the back of the grid, so AMS from P29 all the way up to P17 within 12 minutes, and he's got 17 minutes to go. Can he get himself into that top 10? If I would a betting man, I would say yes. Buddy Lee and MPL. Actually, I think that is a... Who is that in the green and white BMW? Is it a back marker? So we have Romario, who's just done the move on the inside of Buddy Lee. I'm pretty sure that is Chris up there as well. So this is the battle for P20. This shows you how competitive this is. These guys are 20th and beyond, and they are matching each other for lap times. Let's just go back up to the top of the grid briefly, as no surprise, you've guessed it, these two are still following within a second of each other. We're coming up to halfway point of the race, and we've got an almighty field spread from car number 22, which is eye for an eye in 15th, and then to Darren is a 12-second gap. That really is a mighty gap after only 15 minutes of running. Ams, he's slowly but surely reeling Darren in, like a fresh fish out of water. As we've got contact, got car 729, which is the Gabri. We've got a lot of cars off here, blimey. This is going to be a mess for me to try and sort out who's who. We've got, I think it was Romario. Romario's gone back into the pits. Got Jack Davidson. Who else have we got there? So we've got Savitsky, we've got Rui, we've got Frank, we've got the Gabri who went off. That McLaren looks like it's not going to be passing an MOT anytime soon. Romario, Jack Davidson. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've got 6 drivers who have all had to do an early retirement due to damage. That is unfortunate, but it's racing. It is racing. You know, as I said that before the race, you're not going to get no contact. You are going to get contact when it's competitive. So Canesa's got a really good run here on Storico. Is he going to be close enough down this straight to make him move into the bus stop? We're about to find out, as David has just seemed to have gained half a second of these guys. He's now only within a second of these two. So can David in the 303 Ferrari just bring himself into play? He needs to be a couple of attempts closer. I think it'll be open for these two to take each other out, let's be honest. Storico will be certainly under pressure now, though. As my good old race engineer comes into my right ear and tells me we're halfway through the race. I think we're just witnessing the starter of this 3-course meal between Canesa and Storico. I think we're about to enter the main meal with the dessert to come. That's a really cheesy phrase, I know, but I went with it. That's David now 7/10. He certainly is closed up. Is this the case of Storico holding up Canesa potentially? I mean, Canesa certainly looks the racier out of the 3 of them. But David has certainly brought himself right into play now. He must be closer than 7/10. So track temp has gone up a degree, and more importantly, it's gone from fast to optimum. So this is now perfect conditions for these drivers. It's still dry. I don't think we're going to get any rain given the fact that the wind speed is at 0, but you never know what's going to happen in race 2. So Hunter has all of a sudden turned into Hunty, as David is really close up now to Canesa. Has Canesa made a mistake going up the hill? I believe he has, because David is now right into play. These top 3 guys are certainly dropping Morex, who's having quite a lonely race in P4. He's what, 3.2 behind David, but 5.5 seconds ahead of Law, who has got ahead of Moss. We saw those two a few laps ago following each other quite closely, but Law's managed to get ahead of Moss. And Axel has now managed just to pull away a little bit. compared to Shallow Lancer, so those two were having a little bit of a battle a few laps ago, but a bit of a gap starting to develop. So top three, just like their qualifying times, are now finding their race pace is all within the same tenth. This is mega racing from the top three as we slowly but surely approach the final 10 minutes of this race. It's hard to not leave these guys on camera. I want to cover as many drivers as I can, but when you've got the top three like this, you've got to stay on board. As Kanata goes for a little bit of a sneaky look to try and put off Storiko in the braking zone. Storiko's two. It's not his first rodeo. He's not going to get spooked by a lime green, fluorescent green BMW appearing in his right mirror. So under 2 attempts now. Has he got the pace in the slipstream as he goes to the inside a little bit? Again, to try and put Storiko off, but sensible, keeping behind each of a single file through the bus stop, just trying to pile that pressure on. He just needs to be patient here, Kanata. He's got 11 minutes to go. He doesn't need to do a move up the inside just yet, if I was him. Just keep it patient, keep the pressure on Storiko. Storiko's also got to think about the championship. His title contender Rob is still only in P13. He won't know that, of course. He won't know he's in 13th. But what he will be thinking is, if Kanata sends it up the inside, I don't want to be involved in a scrap. That costs me championship points compared to Rob. So that, I would say, puts the advantage in Kanata's court, because he's got less to lose, if that makes sense. So, quick run through the order. Morex P4, Law P5th, Moss 6th, Rapid Duck 7th, Marty 8th, Nico 9th. Shadow Lancer's creeping back up to that battered looking BMW of Axel Racing. Liam in 12th. Rob is still struggling. He's been behind Liam for quite a few laps now. Ollie Mack 14th, FRL 15th, Ams is 16th, and Darren Mark in 17th. And we've got quite a gap as we see Jay Brooker, who had a few off track at the start of the race. It finds himself ahead of MPL and NSpecs. FRL Chris Yavoltin in P22nd. As back on board with the front three into the bus stop yet again. David has just dropped back a little bit again. So guys, I've got 17 of you watching live, so please make sure you just whack the thumbs up button. Really appreciate a like on the video. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing? Whack the subscribe button, as we've got more races like this coming throughout the week at FRL. We've got Tuesday night, Taco Tuesdays are coming up to the final 2 races of that season, where in Tier 2 you'll see myself, Lewis, turn from commentator to racer, as I find myself in a title battle as well in Tier 2 on Taco Tuesdays. So that's going to be live on the YouTube channel at FRL. We've got 3 tiers on Tuesday nights, Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3. We then have the late night Thursdays, Endurance Fridays, which is once a month. And of course there is the PC as well, if you are interested in watching some of the PC action at FRL. So plenty to watch. Get subscribed, keep your eyes peeled for those videos. And of course, if you are looking for some gift ideas, or, well, not, I suppose not gift ideas, but presents for yourself, check out our title sponsors, PureSimGear. They are sponsoring Super Sprint Sundays. So David is yet again brought himself back up to these two. And we, without no shadow of a doubt, we have a three-way battle for the lead here as we head into the final 7 minutes of this race. They are coming up to a back marker, which is De Gabry in the McLaren. He's only, probably 5 seconds up the road, give or take. I don't really know, I'm giving a wild guess there. As we see David very close in the braking zone. Now, did Canesa just tap the wall there? Was that a little bit of lag, or did I just see that BMW give the wall a little bit of a tickle? We'll find out to see if all of a sudden his pace drops off and how much damage he got. But it looked like he just tapped the wall there. I tell you what, I don't want to commentate to curse it, but I'm going to say it already. I'm going to say it anyway. If Storico does hold on to win this race, it will be an absolute phenomenal drive. The fact that he's kept that brightly coloured BMW behind him for this entirety of the race, but there is still 6 minutes to go, and I'm well aware I've got a track record of commentating curse it. But this is what the sprint series is all about. It is just hard, fast racing for 30 minutes. No pit stops. I've not actually said that tonight, but you probably already figured that out for yourself. But there is no pit stops. It is just straight racing to the flag. And one thing I haven't pointed out yet, it's great to see, not only is it just great to see 3 drivers battling for the win, battling for the lead here, but 3 different manufacturers. We've got Audi, BMW and Ferrari, top 3. Even top 4, you got the McLaren thrown in there and more, so you've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. That's cracking to see. As Canesa looks very close going up the hill again, he certainly looks a lot closer this lap. Just the straight line speed of that Audi just seems to be saving Storico really heading into the bus stop. How frustrated is Canesa going to be getting just by constantly seeing that rear view spoiler off that Audi? Is he going to get frustrated and make a lunge into the bus stop one lap? As we are starting to come up to these back markers, as we've got one of them going off, looks like that put off Storico a little bit. So how are these drivers going to navigate the traffic? Now, under blue flag rules, they can't defend their position. They've got to move out the way on the nearest straight. So I believe that is car 729, which is De Gabry in the P23 in the McLaren. He will not want to be making the headlines for the wrong reasons by getting involved with these guys. As we've got Darren Mark is off at the bus stop chicane in the 420 Ferrari. It's unfortunate for him, as we've got one of the Audis come flying through there. So De Gabry moves out of the way nicely on the straight. That's great driving there. As Storico goes a little bit wide, he's like going to compromise to run up the hill. Canesa's going to be all over that. That's definitely compromised, and this could be the pivotal moment as we head into the final 3 minutes of this race, guys. Has that mistake at turn 1 from Storico potentially cost him the lead? Is Canesa close enough? He goes to the inside, has a little bit of a look. He doesn't send it up. He just tucks him behind the Audi. Is the pressure finally get into Storico, and he feeling it in that right foot of his, or the left foot, depending on what he's using to brake with. Is he just feeling the pressure? I mean, I know I would be. There's no way I would be able to keep 2 cars behind me like this for half an hour, not a chance. As we see David having a little bit of a spin, and that's going to cost him. Marcus Gilas, Audi is a beast in a straight line. It is, isn't it? I said it a couple of laps ago. I think that's what's saving him, really. You know, every lap it looks like Canesa has the run of him up the hill, but as soon as it gets going, that Audi, it just saves him, really. So that mistake at the hairpin has just cost David. So even though he's got fastest lap, I think that is potentially cost him the chance for pole position. Sorry, pole position for P1, given there is only a couple of laps remaining. Now, as Storico goes wide again, and he looks certainly a lot wider than the last lap. So again, this is like deja vu times 15. We've been here before. I'm going to say it for probably about the 18th time. Is he close enough? Again, it's a straight line speed of that number 88 Audi. As we see Axel Racing come into the pits. Now that is bizarre. Run out of fuel, maybe? Running out of fuel? Do apologise not being able to bring you much of the camera action from across the grid. I've tried my best, but I can't leave the fact that we've got the top 2 and the top 3 this close together. I do always feel bad not being able to give every single driver in all positions a little bit of coverage, but we can't avoid what we're all here for, which is the race winner. As we see Axel have a stop go for speeding on the exit or the entry of the pit lane. I think that's the entry, is it? So Mark in the 137 BMW, it goes from bad to worse for him. So that is your race win, guys. What an absolute phenomenal race from Storico. That is an incredible drive. So Storico, Canesa, David, Morex in P4, Law P5th, Moss P6, Rapid Duck in 7th. Nico is coming around the final corner in P8. Shadow Lancer is a cracking race from him, the AM Championship leader. As Rob is going to be side by side, it's going to be a photo shoot finish. I think he's just took, was that a back marker? Potentially a back marker, I think it was. I got all excited there for no reason. So that is Shadow Lancer P9, Rob P10th, Liam 11th, I4N I 12th, Marty 13th. Am's coming home in 14th from back of the grid, halfway up the field. It's a cracking drive. Hand of Nez in 15th. And then we have the unfortunate Axel Racing coming home in P16. I'd love to know what happened to him. I do normally get Mark on for a live post-race interview, but after that result, I suspect he'll be keeping his helmet on and not wanting the microphone shoved in his face. But we shall see. I'll do my best. MPL in P17. But that's likely to change given the fact that there is a 60-second time penalty there. Darren Mark in 18th. That's a good result for Darren. Nspect 19th. And we have an extremely banged up Aston Martin. James Bond would not be looking to drive that in one of his films. Sorry, it's not a... Yeah, Aston Martin. It's got Bentley on the... oh no, it's an Aston Martin badge. It looked like a Bentley badge. Yeah. Mr. Bond will not be looking to drive that, given the state of that car. So that's your grid. Let's just try and get a full summary up for you. Storico, I mean, what a race, guys. That was some fantastic entertainment there. To hold Canesa behind him for pretty much the entirety of that race, not make a mistake, that cost him, the victory. That was just a cracking drive. I hold my hat off to him. Just bear with me there, just while I do my screenshotting of the results. So we've now got a couple of minutes, guys, for the next race. Qualifying order does remain as it was. So it's got a couple of drivers just coming through at the end, which is car number 88, which is Stoico doing a little bit of a lap of honour there for the fans. So yeah, we've got a couple of minutes for the server to reset. Race 2 will get underway. I believe it's actually on a different day, so the weather could be slightly different. So yeah, get yourself another drink, toilet break, whatever you need. We'll be back in a few moments. Jay Brooker, that was some damage to drive with. I was questioning myself if it was an Aston Martin. There was that much damage on it. I couldn't tell. I almost got myself confused with Bentley and Aston. That was me having a little bit of a brain fart moment. But given the amount of damage, that's the excuse I will use. Yeah, as I said, mate, on the live stream, I'll be surprised if James Bond will be looking to drive that that bad boy home. But you brought it home in 19th. That's the important thing. You didn't quit. You didn't back out. You carried on going, and you finished P19, which isn't a bad result considering there's 29 drivers. So just having a quick look at the winners and losers of that race. I think the biggest loser, is going to have to be Savitsky. He started P10, but he finished back of the grid. Not sure what happened there. I can only imagine it will be a damage and an incident. Who else we've got? So obviously Rui and Frank, I believe those two are the guys who had the damage and the incident at the bus stop. Law had a good race from P7 to P5, I believe. Shadow Lancer from started P11 and finished P9, so he gained a couple of places, so a good race from Shadow Lancer. So yeah, certainly a few winners and losers in that qualifying compared to race 1. So as I said, we've got a 3-minute warning now for race 2. I'm going to go grab myself a drink of water / beer. I'm not decided yet. And yeah, looking forward to race 2. Catch you guys in a few moments.
30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
So guys, welcome back. I am refreshed with a nice beer. If you're wondering what beer I've got a classic English golden ale. For those of you who are from England, you'll appreciate we do have some very good ales. But here we are for race 2 on the formation lap. Jay, unfortunately, to hear or read that you have a bug, mate, that you've managed to start from the pit lane. Think of the bright side, at least you avoid any carnage that happens and you'll just sail through, waving out the window at them as drivers have the potential incident. So, questions we have is, can Canesa maintain the lead after turn 1? We saw him in race 1, he was extremely conservative on the brakes. Will he be better prepared for the start of this one? Because I think he did have the better race pace. I think he was quite clearly quicker than Storico, but just couldn't find a way past. We shall see. I want to say thank you for all those who are watching live and commenting. I've seen all your comments coming in. It's great to have a few of you watching live and commenting as the race goes on. Appreciate it. It's nice to have some company. I hope you all had a good weekend so far, with the few hours remaining of it. So here we go, race 2 of FRL PureSimGear Sprint Sunday. Another 30 minutes.
Green light. Go, go,
And the flag is dropped, away we go. So Canesa's got a bit of a better start, but Storico is not far behind him. In fact, he could be side by side. So Storico goes to the outside of turn 1, a little bit of understeer for Canesa. Storico goes wide, but Canesa's managed to think of it. Has he maintained the lead? No, he hasn't. So Storico has got the lead, but Canesa is going up the straight as we've got pretty much all the cars have yet again got cleanly away, which is great to see. We're just going to go back on board to the front two for the moment. So Storico, rinse and repeat, is the same move on the outside of the braking zone of turn one, has took the lead of the race. Canesa was a little bit braver on the brakes. He obviously, we've got a lot of cars off at the bus stop, blimey, and we put down live beer and just go back onto the controller. We've got Hand of Nez off. Who else have we got off? We've got Chris Yavolton, number 79. We've got a lot of drivers there. I will find out who they are shortly. I am not surprised, given that it's a carnage part of the track, it really is. So, let's just figure out what's going on, as we've got Law with a lot of damage on that BMW. We've got 3 BMWs, in fact, following each other. Darren Mark is up to P14. That is an absolute cracking start for Darren. I know there's been a few drivers who have gone off. I'll say that, he goes wide. But that's a good start from Darren. So, who's in the pits then? It's Rob! It is Rob! Oh, that is horrendous for the championship. See, the 75 Bentley is out of this race. He was your title contender with Storico. That is potentially a pivotal moment in this championship. That is not the sight we want to see of the 75 Bentley sat in the pit lane. We've got Hand of Nez there as well. We've got Liam Knott and Shadow Lancer, who's the championship leader in AM class. So again, big moment as we see Moss is all the way down in 25th. He was up there at the start of the grid, so he's had a big loss as well. So that is awful for Rob. Storico will not know that until he comes round to finish his lap. He may see on his driver tracker and on his timings that he's got his title contender off. We have Chris in the 79 BMW sporting a different livery tonight. He's in the different livery. That's what I'm normally used to see. So he is having a scenic tour of the bus stop, potentially waiting for a bus there as he goes off and falls to the back of the grid. So at the moment, it is deja vu. We have Storico in P1, Canesa P2, and David in P3. So very much as you were. Frank in P4, Moretz P5, Rapid Duck P6. Savitsky's had a cracking start from P10 to P7, all the way from Ukraine. Go on, son, give it some beans. Rui in P8, Nico P9, Marty... My driver tracker just went AWOL, so Law in 10th. Where's Marty gone then? Axel Racing P11 is looking extremely racy up the inside of Law. Perfect time to join on board, as Axel's actually made the move even before the braking zone. So that is Axel up into P10. I for an eye P12. Ams up from the back of the grid up to 13th. Darren Mark 14th. Gabri right on the back of Darren Mark though. That McLaren will be wanting to dispatch the 420 Ferrari sometime soon, because he's likewise under pressure from Romaria, the 24 Audi, as Romaria goes a little bit too deep and says goodbye to the apex of that corner. Ollie Mack in P17, Buddy Lee 18th, MPL 19th, Jay Brooker in the a lot better looking Aston Martin, it must be said, in P20, who also started from the back of the grid. So that is a good drive from Jay so far. As my driver tracker yet again changes as I go through the grid. So where was I? NSPEC's 21st, MPL 22nd, Moss 23rd in a bashed up Audi, Chris 24th, and then we have our drivers in the pits. Actually, Shadow Lance has gone back out, which is an extremely hats-off moment to him, going back out despite being a lap or two down. Marty, disconnect. I think he has. He's not on my screen, is he? So I think you are correct there, Gilas. Good spot. You'll get a job as a co-commentator, mate, with that kind of spotting. So, Storico 4/10 lead to Canesa. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still close, but it certainly isn't as close as it was in race 1, was it? I mean, it's still very early on. Looks a bit closer this lap, it must be said. And as well, you don't know what these drivers have got going on in the cockpit. As Daniel McCutcheon comes on my YouTube live chat, an update from Hand of Nez, his wheel froze. That's unfortunate. As we've got car number 15 off, which is AMS. So AMS will be falling to the back with Jay coming past, Darren Mark coming past, and I think Buddy Lee is right on the rear of him now. So as I was just saying, actually, so yeah, you don't know what's going on inside the cockpit of these cars, because Storico seems to have a bit better pace compared to Canesa this race. That could be maybe his tyre pressures weren't up to scratch in the first race, maybe he miscalculated them a little bit. You just don't know. He's certainly changed something, because he's extended that gap to a second, which I think was probably the biggest gap he's had to Canesa in this race, as we see Moritz and Frank getting quite close going into the bus stop, as we then go back to Nico and Axel. So Axel's gone up to Peter, he goes down the inside, down the inside of Nico, side by side. That is not a place you'd normally see two cars going side by side. It's a dangerous place. He looks to the inside of him here as well. Is Nico carrying damage? Mark is certainly feeling racy in that BMW. That could have been disastrous though, from my fellow teammate. For any of you wondering why I'm so harsh on Axel, he is my teammate in tacos. We do like to take the mickey out of each other, but it's good to see him having a good race up to P9, fighting Nico for P8. Law in 10th, Eye for an Eye and Sabisky P11 and 12 respectively. So let's just jump back on board to the top, because Canesa has actually closed the gap to Storico this lap. So well, gap was a second, but all of a sudden it's down to probably about a tenth. We'll see as they cross the start finish line. What is the gap? Yeah, it is. It's just under 2 tenths. So this is the closest they've been as we approach as a 10 minutes into the race, as Storico goes wide. Has Canesa got the run? I don't think he has. He's a little bit too far back. And we've seen in the first race how quick that Audi is in a straight line. Oh, by the way, apologies if you heard some beeping in the background. That isn't a heart monitor. That's my baby monitor. Low on battery, so apologies if you could hear that beeping for the last 5 minutes. I've just turned that off now, so you won't get that coming through on the microphone. So, where are the battles? We've got Nico and Axel. He has, hasn't he? Storico been wide at turn 1 a few times. He has. It's certainly not by choice. I'll be very surprised if it is, because you do lose time going wide over that fairly big curb. So I'd imagine he's just not picking the braking zone right. So Axel is certainly putting the pressure on Nico. Nico's been touching that grass quite a few times with his rear wheels, but he's managed to stay ahead of him so far. Just seeing where else we got. We join on board with Jay, who is all over the back of Darren Mark. We saw these two following each other a few laps ago. 3 attempts separate them, as we've got brake markers going all over the place up front. Looks like a car potentially went a little bit wide. Was that Gabri, or was it who is that stricken BMW there? I can't quite work out who that is. Is that Shadow Lancer? We've got a very slow BMW. It's not Shadow Lancer. I'll find out in a moment when the pit stop sign comes up. It's Ollie Mac, so Ollie Mac was the one with damage. Marcus, you're too quick tonight. You're straight with the YouTube comment. It's Ollie Mac. You need to get in this com box with me. Daniel, by any chance, are you from Scotland? Is that why you've got the name Wee Danny? Do you know what? I'm too busy reading the YouTube comments, and look what's happened. Kanesa has took the lead of the race. I've totally missed that on stream. So Storico has actually lost the lead of the race. And he's now under pressure from David Jr. as Daniel comes in with a comment to confirm he's indeed Scottish with the good old I. Good to have you here, mate. Representing Scotland. Hope you enjoyed the World Cup. I'm only joking. As Harry Kane sent us out of the World Cup last night by doing a nice rugby conversion. So David is certainly now looking racing behind the 88 Audi of Storico, as I'm laughing at my own jokes to do with the World Cup. So here's David going to send it to the inside. Storico's gone on the defensive on the inside, goes to the outside now, David, and Storico keeps ahead. Storico must have had an issue because he's lost the lead of the race, instantly fell a second behind Ganathan. Now he's in all kinds of trouble with David. As we see Frank and Moretz really close together. So Moretz, who had a solid P4 in race 1, is trying to repeat that, but Frank is got something to say about that. We'll stay on board with these two. As we see Rapid Duck and Rui going side by side as well around the slow right-hander. Let's wait for my cameraman to catch up. Yeah, the World Cup was certainly disappointing for England last night. I watched it in the pub, and I actually thought England was probably the better team. But you just can't have a penalty in the 88th minute or whatever it was and just sky it like that. But as an Arsenal fan, the one thing I would say about Harry Kane is, you know, you can take the guy out of Tottenham, but you can't take the Tottenham out of the guy, can you? As typical Spurs fashion, managed to bottle it when it matters. Savitsky is back in the pits again. That is unfortunate for him. He was having a good race in race 1. He had damage, having a good race in race 2, and he's boxed again. So that's unfortunate. And that is the trouble with I think Gareth Southgate, just switching back to the football for a brief moment. I think that is the problem with Gareth Southgate. He's just too negative in my opinion. I would like to see someone else come in. I would have liked to see Graham Potter, but he's obviously gone to Chelsea. So Axel is yet again on the backside of this Nico. Come on, Mark. Show us what you got, mate. Yeah, gap in front now to 1.8. I think he's going to be checking out. I did expect it. I think he did look to have the quicker pace in race one. He just couldn't find the way past Storico. And now he's got that position. As you see, the drivers there. Try and pick up a little bit of slipstream from the back marker. So here is your race leader coming up to the back of that number 15 Audi, which is AMS. He's given the old flashing of the headlights. AMS is a quick driver though, so he's not going to be easy to catch, but if he is getting those blue flags, I'll expect him to probably ease off the throttle on this straight and let him by. Canesa won't want to be losing any of the 2.8 second advantage he is nicely built up to Storico, as we do see AMS nicely pull to the side there and just ease off the throttle to let Canesa through. Jay Brooker having a storm of a race. He's up to P13. That is an absolutely cracking drive so far. I don't want to mention it in case I do curse him, as we've got yellow flags in sector 3. Car number 91. Who is that? Car number 91 is Moss. He's not having a good race, let's be honest. So yellow flags out, now green flags are back up and running. He finds himself in 23rd. As we've also got yellow flags out in sector 2, which is car 237. If I just get my driver tracker, which is Law. So Law, who is one of the reserves for tonight. Have we got car number 30 off as well in sector 1? Blimey, it's all happening. The commentator cannot keep up. That is Jack Davison. For a moment, I thought that was Jay Brooker then with the red icon. Thought the commentator had struck again. Luckily, it wasn't. Keep on going, Jay. Don't panic if you're listening to this. So, where are the battles? Rapid Duck, 6 tenths behind Frank. He's a little bit too far back. Axel has just managed to drop, or Nico's managed to drop Axel a little bit. And then got Buddy Lee, 771 McLaren. And Darren Mark. Darren having a cracker drive up to 14th, my fellow commentator from Taco Tuesdays. Go on, Darren, lad. Keep on going. As we see N-Specs being closely followed behind. Who's that behind him? It isn't full position, whoever it is. Number 16. So that is Liam Knott coming back through to unlap himself in the Porsche. as Buddy Lee really is closing up to Darren now. We'll stay on board with this. Battle for P14, into the bus stop we go. Very much so. Liam coming out back on track to finish. Yeah, I always admire people who do that. The last thing we want to see is drivers have unfortunate incidents and then like quit the server and rage quit. It's always anybody who goes back out and finishes the race deserves credit, especially if you're running in more than one series. So, for example, if you're running in tacos on a Tuesday and you do the Sunday, it's good practice for the Tuesday to have the lap time on the track as the calendars are synced. So I know a lot of drivers do use the Sunday sprint as, of course, you know, its own competition, competition in its own right, but also it serves as a bit of a practice as well for the taco series on a Tuesday. So, David, slowly but surely just closed the gap up to Historico. It's now 3 tenths separated. Morex is still in P4. He's managed to keep Frank behind him. And Frank, all of a sudden, finds himself in trouble with Rapid Duck. Rapid Duck living up to his name, and is certainly showing some rapid pace at the moment as he looks to the inside a little bit of the sister BMW. As he goes up to the inside, Rapid Duck down the inside of Frank, but goes a little bit too deep on the brakes, and Frank retakes that and says, "Thank you very much, I'll do the old switcheroo." So, in fact, I don't actually think that was an overtaking attempt from Rapid. I assume that was too late on the brakes, and oh my god, I best get out of the way, otherwise I'm going to completely rear end my fellow competitor. As we saw car 771 go off on the slow right-hander after the bus stop, which is Buddy Lee. As just going back on board with David. David is now all over the back of that 88 Audi. The Ferrari is quick in a straight line, but so is the Audi. As Storker goes to the inside to defend the inside. Good driving from both of them. I was just going on board with Mr. Bond, Jay Brooker in the Aston Martin. He's all of a sudden found himself behind Romaria 24. Has a quick look up the inside to try and spook him. That's going to lose you a little bit of time out there, Jay. Off the throttle, son. That's it. Get the car back stable. Just keep on board with David at the moment because these two are all over each other. And Morex is slowly coming up to have a go at these two as well. Morex podium, I'm calling it. I'll give you odds of... I'll give you an FRL bet boost on that. 5-1, Morex podium. Instantly, I'm thinking I'm going to lose money on that because he's looking extremely racy behind David. So guys, just a stream reminder, drop a like on the video if you haven't already done so, or whack the subscribe button, and also check out our title sponsor, PureSimGear. I believe they are running a discount at the moment, so be sure to go check them out if you're looking to treat yourself at Christmas. As we see on board with Rapid Duck. And just in case you're wondering why I'm not going on board with the camera shots, I still find the spectator mode on PlayStation to be quite buggy. So when I go through the camera, the in-game spectator camera, like on board with the cars, I do find it can crush the game. So I do just play it safe and stick with this kind of helicopter, whatever you want to call it, view. Until they fix it. Hopefully when they can fix it and I can bring you a bit more better camera angles, get on board with some of the drives behind the wheel, etc. But I don't want to risk the stream and the game crashing. As we see Buddy Lee just letting some traffic through, I believe. As Chris is chasing down N-Specs. So if you are watching and you are intending and looking to race in next year's Sprint Sunday Championship, as I said earlier on in this stream, I am FRL Lewis, so we'll be hosting as admin for next year for the series. So I'm open to ideas as to what you drivers want to see in terms of format. It still will be a sprint format, but if you've got some ideas on what you want to see in terms of qualifying times or race format, reverse grid maybe, then let me know. Drop me a DM or drop me a message in the chat. I'm open to suggestions. I probably will be running a poll at some point over the Christmas period just to kind of get a feel for what you guys want to see for next year. As we see Chris go up the inside of N-Specs, can he make it stick? He does. Cracking driving from the pair of them, leaving space, and that is a cracking overtake there as FRL Chris Volton moves up to P15. Happy days. So back on board with David going into the bus stop. He's all over the back of Storico. Just managed to drop Morex a little bit. I was just looking at the straight. We've got Frank and Rui and Nico battling here for P6, 7 and 8 respectively. So Canesa is your race leader with a 4.5 second gap. David in P3 is chasing down Storico. Here comes Canesa.
Right, man. Leader is on the final lap.
So
Give it all you can.
that is your final lap starting. So quick run through the order. Storico P2, David P3, Morex P4, Rapid Duck P5, Rui P6, Frank 7th, Nico 8th, Axel in 9th, having a bit of a lonely race, but a good race so far for him. I for an I, P10, Romeri 11th, Jay Brooker 12th, DeGabri 13th, Darren Mark 14th, Chris 15th, N-Specs 16th, MPR 17th, under pressure from MPR, no he isn't, that's a back marker behind him, beg your pardon. AMS 19th, Ollie Mac 20th, EOS Moss 21st, we've got Car 771 off the bus stops Buddy Lee, Liam Norton 22nd, Shudder Lancer 23rd, Jack Davidson's early retiree, Law early retiree, Savisi early retiree, Hand of Nez early retiree. So that is your order. Canesa is your race leader on his final lap with a 4.5 second gap to Storico. Just jump on board with David for the last sector of this race, because the battle for P2 is coming to its finale. He's under pressure from Morex though. All of a sudden, the bookmaker is potentially paying out on a podium position for Morex, but he's got to running out of track to make this move happen for the podium. So 2 corners to go. That's one of them navigated. Final corner, he's not going to have to do it unless there is a rapid mistake from David. So Canesa is your race winner. Storico comes home in P2. David is weaving celebratory to take home the final podium position in P3. Morex P4. Rapid Duck P5. Rui in P6. Nico P7. Axel coming home in 8th. Ams and Buddy Lee coming home in 18th and 19th. That's Axel home in 8th. I for an eye in 9th. And we have the 24 Audi of Rimeria. P10 for Rimeria. Jay Brooker coming home in P11. That's an absolute cracking drive from him. It really is. Hats off to Jay Brooker in the Aston Martin. Gabri in 12th. A lot of guys doing a lot of weaving here, and maybe knowing that the cameraman will be on them. Darren in P13, my fellow commentator. Chris coming home in, will shortly be coming home in 14th as he comes through the final few corners. As Ollie Mac comes home in 20th. We have Shadow Lancer will be coming home in 23rd. Chris P14. N-Specs 15th. And very close battle here between MPL and Frank 16th. So that is your race results, guys. What a cracking race too. Looking at Canesa's lap times here, he's running in the 44s. That is incredible race pace, it really is. I mean, twice he dipped into the 46s, 3 times, sorry, beg your pardon, 3 times dipping into the 46s, so incredible race pace from Canesa. So, thank you for all those who have joined us on the live stream. There's been quite a few of you on live tonight, so I really do appreciate you watching live. Thank you to the drivers who took part tonight and offered up some cracking entertainment on a Sunday evening. I think it must be said it was pretty much overall some good racing amongst everyone. I know there was some incidents on track. You're never not going to get any incidents. You're always going to get contact at various parts of the race, given how competitive it is. But overall, I must say the driving standards tonight were pretty good from what I've seen anyway. So join us on December the 18th, I believe, for the season finale from Laguna Seca. Yeah, it's going to be an extremely interesting race. It's quite a hard track, again, quite hard to overtake, but a very famous track. So yeah, join us live for that. Just seeing if I can get a driver or two in for a post-race chat. So just bear with me. Bring you some Ted Kravitz style comments here. Mm-hmm. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, mate. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. Just bear with me for a moment, just while I check the live stream to make sure your voice is coming through. Because the last time we did this, well, not the last time, but the first time we did this, I was talking on my own, and it sounded like I was talking to myself because we
No,
couldn't hear you.
definitely. I have checked settings my side, and it does say I allow for the party share, so hopefully we should be okay, mate.
I've been reliably informed by Marcus. We can hear him. He's been cracking tonight, Marcus, in the live stream. He's been spotting all sorts of things that I haven't been able to spot. So thank you, Marcus. So yeah, Mark, thank you for joining us, mate. I was giving you a little bit sick at the start of the race, but I did explain to the live stream that it's just all a little bit of fun, given that the fact that we are unfortunately teammates, and I have to put up with you for pretty much 10 weeks of the year or the season. But that aside, how was your how was your races tonight?
Yeah, I'm all for a bit of banter, mate. So yeah, it doesn't bother me giving me stick. I deserve it sometimes, given the big biggie ball bags. You know what I mean? That I got a 45.5 and couldn't. During practice and couldn't get it in qualifying. So yeah, I deserve a bit of stick, mate. To be fair, the race itself, one word, mad. Just it is just constant. I don't think I've smiled as much as I have done in the last two races. Than it's chaos, but it's good chaos. I must admit I have to apologise personally to the chap you mentioned at the start of the stream. I think the guy from Ukraine.
Oh, Savitsky.
Yes, I may have taken him out slightly at the start of the race one. I take him out. I went for a gap that was a very small gap, but nevertheless, we'll look back at that later. But yeah, apart from that, it's yeah, great racing. Despite how it's very very hard to overtake in this track. I don't know how much you caught of my race one and race two. Race one, I got some damage early on, and I had Shadow Lancer breathing down my neck for the best part of race one, really.
Yeah, race one, we did catch you a little bit on the live stream. The battle up front, it was, if you can remember Monza when you joined me in the comms box for Monza, it was
Yes.
effectively that. It was 30 minutes off the top three within half a second of each other. It was mad.
Yes.
But I did catch some of you in race one. We did see Shadow Lancer behind you. We saw you with quite a bit of a scratch on the front there. So was that following the contact with Savitsky then?
I believe so. Yeah, I mean it was a very I was very aggressive on race one. Let's leave it at that, Lewis. Very aggressive on race one, and so yeah, I had a bit of a contact with Savitsky, and I brushed the wall a couple of times, and then had to pit on last second to last lap because I didn't have enough fuel in the car.
Well, that's what I thought. We saw you. I did pick that up on live stream. We saw you come in, and the first thing I
Yeah.
said was it must be fuel.
Yes.
Um, oh dear. But race two
Yes.
seemed better for you. You had a bit of a ding dong battle with
Nico.
Nico. That was it. Yes. So
Yes.
yeah, hard to overtake.
Very hard to overtake, yes. I think Law must have had some damage on the second race because he was behind me, myself and Nico for best part of that race and couldn't catch it. I know how quick Law is, so I'm guessing he had a bit of damage on his BMW. But yeah, very hard to overtake. Even if
30 seconds.
the best place is obviously is going into the bus stop, but to get there, you have to get the perfect exit from turn one because of
20
course,
seconds.
if you don't, then you're just losing a lot of time up the hill standard. Um, and it was a great race with myself and
10
Nico, but
seconds.
unfortunately, pushing it too hard, I clipped the start of the bus stop, I took too much curb, and I kind of clipped the start of the bus stop, which obviously for the last sort of 10 minutes my pace just sort of dropped off quite considerably. So it was a shame, really. But yeah, was happy where I finished, really. But yeah, looking forward to tackles on Tuesday, really, mate, as well.
Yeah, Tacos is going to be obviously interesting. It's extremely competitive in Tier 2, isn't it? Looking at your race pace now on the stream, it was probably at the start of the race you were lapping quite consistently, weren't you? In the 46s, low 46s, and then as you say, towards the end of the race, you were kind of in the 47s at that point. So,
Yeah.
interesting for Tacos, and I know we're both going to be racing in it on Tuesday. Um, it's going to be dry. I mean, I thought tonight was going to have a sprinkling of rain, but it stayed dry.
Yes, I did actually do a bit of practice, only briefly in the rain, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all in the rain, so I'm quite glad that it was dry. Rain always brings a different race, doesn't it? It's more about survival than speed when it comes to rain. So it would have been interesting if it rained tonight. I always like I think changeable conditions brings the best racing, doesn't it? Having to sort of pit if it rains or if it dries up. But yeah, it was.
Because changeable conditions. You mentioned that, and I always find yourself a little bit of a Jensen Button in the rain. Because I think you've mentioned before you won a race, haven't you, in changeable conditions? Is that right?
Possibly, I'm not. You know more than me, mate, myself. I like to remind you, don't I, mate, that I've actually won a race
Yes.
in tacos and you haven't. But
Yeah.
either way, you've over the last 2 seasons, you've done better than myself when it comes to finishing positions. But it's nothing without a big W, is it, though, mate? So
Well, we like to compare ourselves to the Ferrari team, don't we? I think you say I'm Charles Leclerc just for that few extra tenths of extra pace, and you're more
more
Carlos
colours.
Sainz. We
No,
just haven't
definitely.
we haven't got the disastrous strategy calls that come with
No, definitely.
Ferrari. Well, I
No, no,
say that. I mean, there's been a few questionable strategy calls from you over the course of this season.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, certainly at the endurance race last week at Paul Ricard, which I was yeah, that was just a bad race for myself. But yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
I think watching that back was my favourite comment from the commentator that night, which was the fact that you boxed, you did all three of your stops before the hour was up, and the commentator at the time was that's either a masterstroke or madness.
Yeah, it was certainly madness, mate, from my point of view, really. But yeah, I'm really sort of looking forward to Tuesday. The car, as you know, mate, the BMW feels great around there, um, and yeah, just
Yes,
see what it brings.
but our hours of practice building setups certainly have paid off for the setup around here because the car does feel good.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
From your
well,
point of view, I mean, you must be looking forward to Tuesday. The fact that Hutch isn't racing, mate, given he's just just behind him in the championship. No pressure though, of course, on yourself,
yeah,
really.
thanks for reminding me that I'm in the battle for the title. Yeah, I am. It's helpful that Hutch isn't racing. It's a little bit unfortunate he isn't actually because I wouldn't. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, you've got to be that you've got to be in with you've got to have a ticket to be in with a chance of winning the championship. So you've got to be there for all races. So it is a little bit unfortunate that he isn't racing because it would be nice to have a battle with him on track. But I'm
Yeah.
going to hopefully take advantage of it and have a good finishing position. I
No,
think
definitely.
looking at the pace tonight of some of our fellow tier two drivers, like Law, for example, Law looked quite racy around here tonight. So
Hmm.
I think it's going to be interesting between myself, Law, Rui, Supercart Ray's up there. I think people think just quickly mention about the different tiers. Like, people must think, oh, tier two, it's not as competitive as tier one, for example, but it really isn't. Like tier two is, and tier three in a way as well. Let's not forget tier three. I think all three of them have got quite close title deciders going down to the final two races. So it's what you want to see at the end of the day. Isn't it? After what 9 races, the fact that we've got drivers in with a shout across all three tiers going for the championship.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's what you want, isn't it? You don't want not to bring sort of football allergies into it, but I see tier two the championship in England. Because one of 10 at the start of the season, one of 10 players or teams could win that championship to set a main, whereas obviously at the Premier League, there's only sort of two or three teams that could win the league, isn't there? Just sort of mind. So I liken our tier to the football championship in England personally. So,
Well, I'm pleased you have quite a good experience of the Championship, given the fact that you're a Chelsea fan and there is a high chance that you finish in the Championship next year.
yeah, definitely, mate. Yes, mate, definitely, mate, definitely.
Well, thanks for joining us, mate, on the live stream.
you're welcome, mate.
Pleasure
You're
as
welcome.
always. And we'll speak to you on Tuesday for
No
tacos.
problem. No problem, mate. See you then. Later.
See you later.
Bye.
So, guys, just to finish off the stream, thank you all for joining. Hope you've enjoyed the Sunday evening racing here at FRL PureSimGear Sprint Sunday. We're going to the final race of the season on December the 18th. Hope to see you all there. Hope to see a full grid, and keep your eyes out for the sign-ups for next season. Hopefully, we get some exciting championship lined up for next year after the Christmas and New Year break. So have a good week all. Whatever you're doing, work, college, school, whatever. Have a good week and take care. See you all next time. Bye bye for now.